I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Friday, February the 28th, 2014. The White House responded yesterday to a report in the New York Times that said that U.S. President Barack Obama would urge Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept the framework deal on continuing talks between Israel and the Palestinians when the two meet in Washington. As we told you about yesterday, the New York Times had reported that Obama would use Netanyahu's upcoming visit to the White House this Monday to press Netanyahu on the deal. The Times of Israel reports that yesterday the White House said in response that the meeting with Netanyahu, as well as a later this month meeting, or rather next month meeting with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, would only be used to, quote, take stock of the negotiations. White House spokesman Jay Carney said yesterday the Prime Minister's visit, as well as President Abbas's visit on March 17th, will be important opportunities for the President to take stock of where we are and to work through the details with them. The White House had announced that Abbas's visit to Washington to meet with the President would take place on March the 17th yesterday. Core issues within the framework deal remain, which present challenges to the parties. Carney said the parties are talking about the core issues, including borders, security, Jerusalem, refugees, mutual recognition, an end of conflict, and an end of claims, and that the framework plan would be a significant breakthrough. Carney said the framework is an important step. We'll see how the coming weeks unfold in terms of progress on it. It is expected that Secretary of State Kerry will present the framework plan to the Israelis and Palestinians by the end of April, when the original 9-month deadline for peace talks expires. And during Netanyahu's trip to the U.S., the Prime Minister will also make time to visit the West Coast. Netanyahu is set to leave Israel this Sunday, meet with U.S. President Obama at the White House on Monday, and then address the AIPAC Policy Conference in D.C. on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, Netanyahu will fly to California and meet with the co-founder of WhatsApp, the company recently acquired by Google. WhatsApp co-founder Jan Koum, who is Jewish and originally from Ukraine, will meet with the Prime Minister to discuss high-tech opportunities in Israel. Netanyahu will also meet with other high-tech heavies like the heads of LinkedIn, eBay, and Apple. Netanyahu told the Israel Manufacturers Association annual event in Tel Aviv yesterday, "They speak a lot of Hebrew there," referring to the Silicon Valley. "I want to draw our friends back from there to Israel to invest." He said, "It is very important for me that Israelis and non-Israelis will come here and see the talent we have here, the initiatives and the potential of the Israeli economy." According to Netanyahu's office, the Prime Minister will also meet with Californian Governor Jerry Brown and sign a strategic cooperation agreement to promote economic ties between California and Israel. Reuters reports that Israel is urging the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, to publicize information it has on Iran regarding Iran's suspected research on how to build an atomic weapon. This follows a report from Reuters yesterday that the IAEA had planned to release a major report on Iran that might have unveiled more of its alleged nuclear research, but decided not to release it in order to avoid disrupting talks between Iran and world powers. And while it's not clear what the report actually shows, Israel's military intelligence minister Yuval Steinitz said it was the job of the IAEA to share it. Steinitz called on the UN nuclear watchdog agency to publicize the report immediately. He said the task of the agency is, quote, to expose to the international community any information regarding the military aspects of the Iranian nuclear program and not to shelve it out of considerations pertaining to diplomatic sensitivity. A massive demonstration is planned this Sunday in Jerusalem by the Haredi or ultra-Orthodox community. They are protesting the Israeli government's efforts to draft Haredi men into the IDF. The rally was endorsed earlier this week by the three Haredi movements, rabbinical councils of Degel HaTorah, Shas, and Agudat Yisrael. The rally is likely to cause major traffic issues in the city, and Israel's police traffic division has called on the public not to drive to Jerusalem after noon on Sunday and until after the rally has concluded. Jewish groups here in the U.S. are reacting to a report from Amnesty International that accuses Israel of war crimes. The Amnesty report, entitled "Trigger Happy: Israel's Use of Excessive Force in the West Bank," was issued yesterday. It accuses the IDF of using, quote, excessive force to stifle dissent and freedom of expression among Palestinians in the West Bank. It also called on the international community to suspend transferring arms to Israel in protest. The American Jewish Committee strongly criticized the report. AJC Executive Director David Harris said that starting with its title, the report showed calculated bias against Israel. Harris said Amnesty's skewed perspective not only grotesquely ignores the immense security challenges Israel faces, but also disregards the fact that right now Israeli and Palestinian leaders are engaged in direct negotiations to end the conflict. Harris said it was irresponsible for Amnesty to focus almost exclusively on Israeli actions and disregard the precipitating actions of those Palestinians engaged in violence against the Jewish state. B'nai B'rith International called the report Amnesty's latest attempt to slander Israel, falsely portraying the IDF as brutal. They said the report completely ignores Israel's complex security issues and holds the Palestinians completely blameless, despite a campaign of terror waged against Israel for decades. B'nai B'rith said Amnesty International's report feeds the global campaign to demonize Israel and intensify its isolation in the international community. They said Amnesty is using its humanitarian mission as a shield as it levels biased and politically charged accusations against the Jewish state. The IDF responded to the report as well. They said that Amnesty was ignoring the significant increase in Palestinian violence against Israel, citing that in 2013, 132 Israelis were injured, almost double the amount from the year before, by Palestinians. And there were 66 terror attacks targeting Israel, some fatal, including shootings, the planting of explosive devices, and the kidnapping and murder of an IDF soldier. The IDF said the Amnesty report showed a complete lack of understanding as to operational challenges the IDF is posed with in the West Bank, stating where feasible, the IDF contains this life-threatening violence using riot dispersal means, and that only once these tools have been exhausted and human life and safety remains under threat is the use of precision munition authorized. Israel's Foreign Ministry spokesman Yigal Palmor said the report, quote, smacks of bias, discrimination, and racism. Palmor said Amnesty takes to making up its own laws. In their frenzied public relations stunt to grab a quick headline, they innovate in the legal realm, no right of self-defense under fire for Israelis. He said Amnesty lies by omission and otherwise. A German court has ruled that former SS Nazi guard Hans Lipschitz is unfit for trial. The 94-year-old, who was charged with over 10,000 counts of accessory to murder for his time serving at the Auschwitz death camp during the Holocaust, is said to be suffering from worsening dementia. Lipschitz was released from custody last December over his physical condition, with the court saying there was considerable doubt as to whether he could be tried. His attorney told the Associated Press that after his release, he fell and was then operated on and now is in a nursing home. Prosecutors still have not said whether they will appeal the court's decision. As we reported to you earlier this week, several other suspected former guards at the Nazi death camp were arrested in Germany. Nazi hunter and head of the Simon Wiesenthal Center's Jerusalem branch, Ephraim Zurov, said he hoped the Lipschitz decision would be a, quote, wake-up call to prioritize these new Auschwitz cases. The Jewish Week reports that a study sponsored by the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research will study a genetic mutation that is found more often in Jews of Eastern European descent. The study is called the Parkinson's Progression Markers Initiative. It will look at individuals with genetic mutations associated with Parkinson's, including the genetic mutation LRRK2, which accounts for a larger number of Parkinson's cases amongst certain populations, including significantly Ashkenazi Jews. It will investigate the link between the mutation and the disease. The study will take place at 32 clinical sites around the world. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Friday, February the 28th, 2014. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed at 7:30 by a Shabbat a cappella concert. That's here on Shalom TV and ShalomTV.com. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.